of Steve Simpson on pole position. Adam Brown alongside, the lights go out as they head up towards Paddock Hill Bend. Steve Simpson leads the way, but Adam Brown is going to try and sweep his way around the outside, and I'm afraid already we've got Alfie Jones, who has retired on the run in towards Paddock Hill Bend. I wonder whether he might have popped a drive shaft or something like that, because the car all of a sudden just faltered, and he is already out of the race, parked up against the barriers on the right-hand side. So for DHD Motorsports, it's not been a great race really, with no Gary Barlow, no Danny Cassar, and now no Alfie Jones. But it's Adam Brown that leads the way, and he'll want to crack on with this one, Adam Brown, because he secured victory at Silverstone, and in the Coilovers tin tops, if you claim a win, you pick up a 30-second penalty in your pit stops for the rest of the year. So Adam Jones has a 30-second penalty because he won at Silverstone on the international circuit. Alfie Jones did have a 30-second penalty because he won last time out at Castle Coombe, so he doesn't need to worry about that now. He's retired. And Sean Ely won at Cadwell Park, so he's got a 30-second penalty. But already, by the look of things, with that stricken car of Alfie Jones in a dangerous spot right on the approach towards Paddock Hill Bend, I think the safety car is being scrambled. So safety car out there on circuit, and that will be to get Alfie's car out of harm's way. It'll only need a straight toe, so it won't take long for the trackside recovery team to deal with it. But you can see, in fact, no, he's not parked up against the barriers. He's actually nosed into the barriers, but he was on the grass as though he looked everything was under control. So I wonder if there might have been a steering issue with that car, because it's a strange place to go off. So Alfie's car did sort of nose into the barriers there, Matt.
Yeah, as I came around the corner, I saw him just kind of pull off slowly, but it didn't look like he had a problem to kind of hit the barrier, unless there's no brakes or I don't know.
Or he turned in and the grass was wetter than he expected.
Yeah, maybe,
Yeah, so such a shame for Alfie Jones. We'll keep an eye on what's going on in the Puma Cup as well, because whilst Adam Brown leads the overall race, the Puma Cup at the moment is being led by Gareth Cotgrove.
A few moments later.
Be a lot closer to them, so we get the race back underway, and Adam Brown and Stephen Simpson go over the start-finish line. Here comes Sean Ely in third place, Steve Papworth fourth, Kev Smith in fifth place, and it's going to be David Bellamy who is there in sixth position at the wheel of his giant-killing Class E Peugeot 106 at this stage. Dave Hutchins is next up, but we have got one that's dived for the pit lane nice and early, and that is Nick Mellor in the number 51 Renault. Is in right at the sharp end, but that can't be for a mandatory pit stop because the pit window isn't open for another 3.5 minutes.
No, he was very slow at the restart, and everyone was getting a little bit held up behind him, so there's obviously an issue as the team look towards the left front, so maybe some issues there for the team to have a look at, as now the Puma goes down the inside line. So that's going to be the 110 machine of Gareth Cotgrove, who makes up a place, and he currently finds himself in the lead of the Puma Cup as well, so that puts the car between himself and his nearest rival at the minute, which is the 163 machine. So that's a good little bit of a buffer at this early stage of this 40-minute race. We'll try and pull the gap now on Luke Johnson.
Yeah, so that is Catherine Henderson that he's now managed to get between himself and the next car in the Puma Cup, and now unfortunately Luke Johnson has also had another car wiggle its way through and has gone through, so that's now two Ford Fiestas between the car that's leading the Puma Cup and the car that's second in the Puma Cup as they come over the start-finish line now. Gareth Cotgrove, having got past Catherine Henderson through the twiddly parts, the extra power of her Ford Fiesta tells, and she is able to squeeze her way back through again once more. And the best fight in the Puma Cup at the moment is probably for second, third and fourth, isn't it? Which is going to be the yellow and blue machine of Luke Johnson, followed by then the next car, which is going to be Ian Howard. And Ian Howard is coming under attack from the car that sits directly behind, which is going to be the white car with the checkers on the roof, which is going to be next to the Ford Fiestas that's third in the class.
Yeah, and all amongst that is going to be Nick Mellor, who's just rejoined from the pit lane as well, a lap down, so that Renault Clio just stays to one side by the looks of it. But yeah, great battle here with the Puma Cup, and also a couple of the Fiestas in the mix as well. So they head their way down towards Surtees and in towards McLaren. Also a good battle on across the line now. I think that's for third place, isn't it? Yes, so Sean Ely now is very much under pressure as trying to go down the inside line is Gary Papworth. So we'll keep an eye on that, which heads its way up in towards the right-hander of Druid, and in fact Sean Ely now has lost that place.
Yep, Steve Papworth goes through, takes the place away from the Peugeot of Sean Ely, and we're side by side for the lead of the Puma Cup over the start-finish line, almost leaning on each other. Gareth Cotgrove desperate to try and hang on to the lead of the Puma Cup, and not quite able to wiggle his way through was Luke Johnson, but Luke might have another little nibble as they head uphill towards the braking area for Druids this time through. Is there a gap? No, Gareth Copgrove covers it off, so nose to tail for the lead of the Puma Cup, and I think Luke Johnson might have just put the front bumper onto the rear bumper of Gareth Copgrove there, but actually Luke Johnson was the one that became a little bit unsettled as a result of that.
Yeah, definitely a little nudge, wasn't there, in towards Druids there. So, as you rightly said, Luke Johnson does lose out. They've also got to deal with Mark Walton here in that Ford Fiesta. So the number 4 machine trying to get a bit of a wriggle on down the Cooper Straight, but can't quite get the way through there. But yeah, all these Fiestas now muscled in with the Pumas, so having a good battle in the class and also overall as well. The other two in there as well is going to be the shared car, the number 152 machine, which has been started by Nick Fulljames. That's a third of the Pumas you can see in shop, and then across the line in fourth in that class is the 196 machine, Ian Howard. So they are your 4 together.
Well, I think Zach Bagwell's gone through and ahead of Ian Howard, hasn't he? Because the silver car now is ahead of the yellow one. So yeah, Zach Bagwell's gone through, and Ian Howard, who was, I think he was fastest of the Puma Cup cars for a good chunk of qualifying and qualified on pole in the Puma Cup. He's now down to 5th in the Puma Cup in race conditions, so race hasn't quite worked out for him as he would have wished. Adam Brown still leading the way. Best lap of the race, he said a couple of laps ago, was 54 seconds exactly, 54.000 seconds. He leads by 2.5 seconds from Steve Simpson, but remember, our race leader is going to have to stop for an extra 30 seconds in the pits relative to that yellow Peugeot that's there in second place, and the pit window is now open.
Yeah, and he's gaining the gap over the rest of the field, though, isn't he? 15 seconds clear now of Steve Patworth in third place, so that's a good buffer, which he'll be trying to hope that grows over the next 10 or so minutes as the Fiestas and Pumas, almost like their own Ford Championship, isn't it, as they come across the line. Down towards Paddock Hill Bend they go, still at the head of that in the Puma class is the 110 machine of Gareth Copgrove. He's still got that buffer of the Fiesta between himself and Luke Johnson as it stands, so they turn their way through Paddock Hill Bend. The 177 machine tries to escape all of this now, so Catherine Henderson in the red and black Fiesta, just a couple of cars up the road as it stands, as one of the Pumas unfortunately gets a little bit out of control there. That was Nick Fulljames, wasn't it?
Yeah, right across the nose of Ian Howard, who unfortunately had to dive on the brakes to avoid clattering into the side of that Peugeot, and he's sideways again, Nick Fulljames, on the exit of Graham Hill Bend, so just struggling a little bit with rear grip on that car at this stage, and they need to be careful here because they're about to be lapped by Adam Brown, who's trying to squeeze his way up the inside of those Ford Fiestas as well, and just about avoids making contact with any of them, but Adam Brown keen to get on with it because he knows the task in hand is to try and build some sort of advantage to overcome the additional 30 seconds that he'll have to spend into the pits. Into the pit lane has come Alan Wiltshire, number 45, the wheel of his red Ford Fiesta. This will be for his mandatory pit stop. We've also got Luke Johnson in and Ian Howard in their respective Ford Pumas in the pit lane to serve their stops.
Yep, so a few of them deciding to take that early, get it out of the way, done and dusted, as again it gets quite tight up there towards the right-hander of Clearway, so they will try and squeeze their way through in their respective battles for the time being. So onto the start-finish line we go once again. This is a bit of lappery for some of the quicker cars then as they head their way down towards Paddock Hill Bend. You've got in there at the minute Sean Ely. He is a bit further back actually. Whereabouts is he on track? He's just turned his way through Druid. So this is going to be actually for 5th, 6th and 7th place, isn't it? So the leader of those cars is the 420 machine of Kev Smith as he turns his way now down towards Graham Hill Bend, but as I say, doing a bit of lappery at the same time, so just trying to work out who is who in that one. But yeah, he's definitely clearing the 420 machine. I think the other two have pretty much got their way through as well. Involved in that is going to be the 98 machine of David Bellamy, and then also you've got the shared car of number 24, which has made its way through now as well, which is started by Danny Harrison, very shortly to be taken over from Michael Wheeler, who we briefly spoke to down there in the pit lane after jumping out of his McLaren 570S. And then we've got another dice going on here between the 44 and 40 machine. That's Matt Churton, who's trying to squeeze his way through here with a bit of traffic of Martin Jordan.
Yeah, so wherever you look there are some great little battles going on. We ought to say into the pit lane has come Steve Simpson, so the Peugeot 206 RC that was in second place overall in the race has now dived its way in towards the pit lane. So Dave Hutchinson is in the pit lane as well. We've seen him racing with his son in the CSCC Tin Tops in the past. We see less of Dave racing in this series now. It's good to see him out at the wheel of the IT Cycle backed Honda, and he qualified 7th on the grid and will rejoin probably in the mid-teens, I would have thought, by the time he cycled through his pit stop. Remember, it is 1 minute and 30 seconds the pits. any shorter than that, and he's going to be well and truly the right side of it with a minute and 42 his pit stop, so that's a good pit stop.
Yeah, 12 seconds over, which is always handy. Would have been probably ideal a little bit closer to 1 minute 30, but that's good news for that team as it heads back out. Adam Brown continues then to lead, 19 seconds now clear of the number 14 machine, so Steve Papworth is the man now up into second place, whilst Steve Simpson finds himself in the pits. The Peugeot now does head back out, so Steve Simpson is done, and hopefully for him that was good. Yeah, 1:34, so 4 seconds over, but that is a green tick from us.
Blair Roebuck at the wheel of the recycled racing black and yellow Honda, having a good little squabble. He's managed to get through past Danny Harrison on the previous lap. Now the next car he's trying to attack is going to be David Bellamy, which will put Blair Roebuck up into 5th position if he can squeeze through and ahead of the Peugeot. He's trying it as hard as he possibly can, but the danger is he might leave the door open for Danny Harrison to re-attack at the wheel of the Ford Fiesta. Yeah, the Brisky Racing machine goes back through, so just as Blair Roebuck gains one place, he looks to gain another and loses out. The car ahead of them, Kev Smith, who was in 4th place, dives for the pit lane this time. Blair Roebuck in a straight line. It might be a slightly older Honda, but he can again get back past the Ford Fiesta, retakes the place again from Danny Harrison. Good fight that.
Certainly is, yeah. David Bellamy just up the road in the number 98 machine, so that dives now through Paddock Hill Bend, but Blair Roebuck is going to be on the defence once more up towards Druids, as behind the Fiesta tries to find the line around the outside, which is not quite going to work at the minute for Danny Harrison, but still attacking the back end as much as possible. It's going to be a late move down towards Graham Hill Bend, doesn't look like it, so Blair Roebuck still continues to hold on. They then catch up to the tail of David Bellamy as they accelerate down towards 30's corner. So yeah, great trio of cars all together at the minute. Every single corner they go through, they seem to be under attack, and once more Blair Roebuck has to go for a defensive line, which makes you a little bit slower on the exit of the corner. And do any of these three now look for the pit lane? No, all of them continue on their way.
Yeah, Mark Walton in the number 4 Ford Fiesta is in though, so he's headed in towards the pit lane. That's what you're talking about. David Bellamy, Blair Roebuck, followed by then Danny Harrison over the start-finish line. The Peugeot, the Honda, the Ford Fiesta just working their way through Paddock Hill Bend. They're on lap number 15 at the moment. There's no signs of any of those diving for the pit lane. Sean Ely has though. Car number 399, Sean Ely, who started towards the sharp end of this grid in 4th position. The Cadwell Park winner into the pit lane. And remember, for him, it's not a minute and 30 in the pit lane. It's going to be 2 minutes. He'll need to remain stationed in the pit lane. He's got that extra 30 seconds because of the win at Cadwell Park, and that will stay with him for the season.
Yeah, we just had the Puma Cup leader in as well and back out, so that's going to be sorted for Gareth Cockgroves. The 110 machine now back on its merry way as we continue to watch this fight at the minute, which is all going on now for second place, because they are behind Adam Brown, who continues to lead and has of yet not made his pit stop. So again, the attack still comes from behind there from Danny Harrison, but we have lost into the pit lane Blair Roebuck. So Blair is in this time round, so that will be to give up 3rd place, and lights ablaze for that car as it heads down the pit lane, and we'll see how well this goes for that team.
Matt Churton's pit stop, car number 420, is Kev Smith's pit stop, I should say, car number 420, is showing as being a minute and 15 seconds, which would suggest he's 15 seconds short, but it's not showing as being in red, which is usually what a short pit stop is. So that's got me scratching my head a little bit at the moment.
Yeah, whether the officials will see that and then give it red,
yeah.
But yeah, straight away normally it does, doesn't it, go
yeah.
red? So yeah, not too sure on that one. As we now see down in the pit lane, serving its pit stop, that's Marcus Williams in the 169 Team Hadfield Motorsport Puma. So that will just wait for, again, the time to tick away, going solo for today. You can see the novice cross on the back of the car as well, so that would indicate that maybe fairly new to motorsport, that, or normally it's second driver, but on its way it goes once again, and we'll see where it rejoins in respect to the leader that was Gareth Cockgrove in the Puma Cup, which is just working his way now through McLaren on towards another lap that will go very shortly. We're still waiting though for Adam Brown to leave the track. He's got 7 minutes or so before he needs to make his pit stop. He's very happy being out there, putting in some good lap times. That time through is 55.7, so just losing a little bit now in the traffic.
Yep, so he nips up the inside of Kev Smith at the wheel of the Honda, who has been into the pit lane. Still out there and circulating. Another car that hasn't been in as yet is David Bellamy. So the number 98 Peugeot 106 is now to 2nd overall in the race. We haven't had Mark Full-James in at the wheel of the number 152 Puma. That leads Puma Cup at the moment, but that car has not pitted either. He's running in 4th position, and I think he may well move up to 3rd at the time of this next lap, because Danny Harrison has come in at the wheel of the number 24 Ford Fiesta and handed over to Michael Wheeler for part two of the race, and then the only other car that hasn't pitted as yet is number 99, I think, which is going to be the Josh and Ben Scott Renault Clio. Other than that, everybody else has now cycled through their pit stops. In fact, David Bellamy does come in on this lap, so the Peugeot is in the pit lane, which leaves us only 3 cars to pit, one of which is Adam Brown, the race leader, who goes over the start-finish line now onto lap number 19.
Yep, just a few then to serve their pit stops within this race, as a couple of them now leave the pit lane, including the 24 machine of what's going to be Michael Wheeler behind the wheel. So let's see how he's adapted from McLaren to Ford Fiesta as he gets himself back into this race, and we'll see if that can be a battle which continues inside the top 5. It'd be nice to see Michael Wheeler once again back up there after a back-to-back race here at Brands Hatch. Still waiting for the rejoining David Bellamy to head back out, which he'll do in due course. And then, as Martin said, 3 more cars still to serve that pit stop, including Adam Brown, who continues to lead this race by a massive margin, but of course we still need to see him in for what's going to be 2 minutes, the 90 seconds mandatory and the 30 seconds for his win earlier on in the season as well. As that all happens, up now into second place has gone Steve Simpson. So the man who started on pole position with his pit stop served has now made his way back through, and now is going to be the time to see what happens, because finally Adam Brown is into the pits.
Yep, so Adam Brown dives in the pit lane. He was a lap and a bit ahead of Steve Simpson, but he really needs to be 2 laps ahead to keep on to the lead of this race. All to say, we've also had Dave Hutchins retire. I think I saw his car retire down onto the inside of Paddock Hill Bend, where the old rallycross track used to be. So I think that's one car that's now disappearing down through the order. It certainly looked like his car, and he is 10 places down from where he was on the previous lap, make that 11. Yes, so I think it was his car that had retired. So with Adam Brown in the pits, remember his pit stop needs to be 1 minute and 30 seconds plus the extra 30 for the win that he took at Silverstone on the national circuit. There's another car that looks as though it might be short on the pit stop, and that is car number 16, James Wilson, on the wheel of the MGZR. His is showing as only being 1 minute and 22 in the pit lane, so that would indicate that he is sort of the best part of 7 3/4 seconds short of the pit stop.
Yeah, very bizarre, isn't it? Whether there's some transponder issues, not too sure, but definitely all of those seem to be shorter than they should be. So we wait for what's going to be Steve Simpson to come through in the 62 car. He'll be through very shortly. Adam Brown will then be heading back out of the pit lane, but where they are in respect to each other will be quite interesting, because Adam Brown has stayed out there. But with that time he spent out there, did he do any quicker lap times? Was Steve Simpson held up with traffic? Was Adam Brown held up with traffic? These are the questions which will decide the race, with it's going to be 18.5 minutes to go.
Yes, so Steve Simpson over the start-finish line. Adam Brown still stationary in the pit lane at the moment, with the clock still ticking away. So Steve Simpson in the number 62 yellow Peugeot 206 picks up the lead of the race, and then we'll see where Kev Smith comes through. Kev Smith at the wheel of the Honda, through and over the start-finish line now. That should put him second in the race, which it does. Through into third. Are we going to see Steve Patworth beat Adam Brown out of the pit lane? I'm not sure we are, because Adam Brown is about to leave the pit lane now, as the number 14 Honda of Steve Patworth comes over the start-finish line. So Adam Brown out onto the track in third place, but still trying to get up to speed. Steve Patworth is just going to be behind him as they head out of Paddock Hill Bend. So Adam Brown third in the race, following his pit stop with that extra time penalty for the win at Silverstone on the international circuit.
Yeah, just wondering if there was a slight issue with the car for Adam Brown, because the team were pushing him away and it was kind of jolting, so whether a clutch issue or something with the starter. But yeah, Adam Brown definitely needed some help to get back into the action, but he has rejoined, and his time was absolutely fine, wasn't it? Yeah, it's over 2 minutes.
7 seconds longer than he needed to.
Yeah, so yeah, he's maybe giving that away, hasn't he? And now he's got to do the chasing to try and get past those 2 cars. We've got a car which is off in the gravel actually at Paddock Hill Bend as well, at the top of it.
Yeah, and yes, can't quite tell who that might be. It's a Ford Fiesta and it's red, so I'm guessing number 53, Gareth Lehane.
You're good at this, Mark, aren't you? Absolutely correct.
Right, so knows Brands Hatch well, does Gareth, so he's just stopped before the barriers, hasn't he?
I'm sure he didn't want to know that part of Brands Hatch too well, though, did he? But
less familiar with that part.
Yeah, it's quite deep up there as well, so he's really buried the right front, unfortunately. So that does mean we go safety car. So all pit stops completed, which is good. So we don't have kind of any insufficient people in wrong places. Good news for Adam Brown, because it was 28 seconds behind the leader. That now effectively will be eradicated.
It will, but it depends where he is relative to the race leader. As the safety car managed to grab the race leader, it's waiting down at the exit of the back entrance to the Grand Prix areas, pick up the race leader. Race race leader is the number 62 Peugeot.
5 minutes later.
Simpson get a jump on everybody and pull away. Sean Healy sort of lacking back a little bit in third place. This time looks as though Steve Simpson is trying to back the pack up, which is a sensible thing to do, because now when he goes through, which he's doing, nobody else can overtake until the start-finish line. So Adam Brown, he knows he's quicker than the cars ahead, but he can't overtake any of them until he reaches the control line. So through will go over the start-finish line. Stephen Simpson leading the way. Kev Smith is there in second place, but remember, he's got a huge time penalty over him. And did he just have his nose ahead of a car as they go over the start-finish line now? I think he might have.
Very close, wasn't it? Yeah, so eager to get on with it, but of course, again, a bit like the pit stops, if you're a bit too eager, that can land you in some trouble and a penalty. So we'll see what happens there. Already with a penalty is the 420 machine of Kev Smith as he now works his way through the traffic, but well on his way is going to be that of our race leader. So Steve Simpson turned his way through Graham Hill Bend, rest of the pack now trying to work their way through traffic, and Adam Brown has been passed, hasn't he, by what's going to be Steve Papworth.
He has, yeah. Steve Papworth's Honda has gone through and ahead of Adam Brown. Not sure where that happened. Must have been under acceleration towards Paddock Hill Bend potentially. Let's hope he didn't overtake it before the control line, otherwise he will end up with some sort of penalty heading in his general direction. But I didn't see it. I can't really be 100% sure where that occurred. The lead of the Puma Cup still continues, and we've got a spin right in the middle of the circuit with cars having to split to drivers left and drivers right, and eventually Matt Churton bumps into the back of the number 16 Rover, which is stranded in the middle of the circuit with a broken radiator. Could do with getting going. That was all because one car spun sideways. Alan Wiltshire in the middle of the track and got stranded there, but I think Rover is just going to get fired up and get going. That was the unfortunate James Wilson, who didn't do anything wrong other than sort of clatter into the side of the stricken Ford Fiesta and then got bumped in the rear by Matt Churton's car, but they've all left the scene.
Yeah, concertina effect there, wasn't it? One hit and then didn't have anywhere really to go, so that was a shame for James Wilson as he gets now back into the race, but as I said, some broken radiator on that car, as the Peugeot also is coming across the line fairly slowly here as well, so that's going to be the car of 57, isn't it? So that's going to be now Clyde Black behind the wheel, and that looks like it's got some smoke coming out the left rear, possibly the exhaust.
Yes, so could be well worth pulling that car off the circuit as soon as possible, otherwise what is going to be a repair bill will become a very expensive repair bill. Adam Brown has got himself back ahead of Steve Papworth on that lap, so the number one car of Adam Brown back up into third position, Steve Papworth back down into fourth. The leader of the Puma Cup is Gareth Copgrove, who was pulled well and truly away from Luke Johnson now. That wasn't what we were expecting, because Gareth Copgrove is already, that looks like he's at Paddock Hill Bend. Only now does Luke Johnson come over the start finish line.
Yeah, Copgrove, I think in the restart was about 13th, so he's moved up one place, whereas then it looks like Luke Johnson has lost quite a few there, so I think it possibly was the mistake from Luke Johnson in the number 163 Puma as Copgrove heads downhill in towards Graham Hill Bend.
Or maybe he made the wrong decision as to which side to split on that stricken car,
Yeah, took it a little bit gingerly, went for the outside and lost a couple of places. We've got another Puma off in the gravel Paddock Hill Bend as well now.
Ian Howard.
And that is going to be another stranded one, because that's again a deep part of the circuit, quite close to the edge of the track, and it is sideways into that gravel trap, isn't it?
It is, yeah, so he'll be going no further. So we've got localised yellow flags for it at the moment. I do strongly suspect that that might not be the case for too much longer. The safety car may possibly be called back into position again. You can see the Ford Fiesta there sort of rotating for 180 degrees, backed itself into the gravel trap. There's no damage to the car. It's a rather dusty looking car, and let's see as to whether the marshals can give it a shove. One marshal power won't move it, but 2 or 3 marshal power might. It gets tight up towards Druids as well. David Bellamy trying to sneak up the inside of Neil Jackson. Neil Jackson just about saw him coming in time.
Yeah, did, so good avoidance there to stay out of the way and not have side impact on that car, but yeah, still under yellow flags at the minute in towards Paddock Hill Bend. So again, this could be quite tricky for leaders, because if they come up on any traffic, as the red flags now come out in fact for this race, so with the car stranded and with less than 5 minutes of the race still to go, good call there to make sure that the race is brought to a conclusion a little bit earlier than expected, but of course by the time we've got the safety car recovery, it would have been the end of the race anyway, so it allows then the recovery of the car, and we'll bring the race winners into the pit lane as well, which is going to be, by the looks of it, Steve Simpson. He picks up the victory, so he has got the job done here. Of course, that safety car, you could say didn't help him, but in a way it did, because he had the traffic there between himself and Adam Brown and Kev Smith, who was there at second place at the time, but with that little bit of safety car period, it did then help Steve Simpson to the victory. So he'll pick it up, of course, with Kev Smith receiving the penalty. He will drop himself down into, well, not third place, he'll be further back from that, won't he, because of the 30 seconds to be applied for the short pit stop. So Adam Brown will be up into second place, and then it will be Steve Patworth, by the looks of it, up into third place. So it's going to be a Class B1 car that wins, Class C car that finishes in second, and a Class A car which finishes in third place in the end.